Doing
How you doing?
all right. I like the haircut.
Oh, thank you. Decided to get them all cut.
Oh yeah, I see. How long have you ever? What's the longest you ever had it?
Long as I had it was down to about here,
Oh,
and
nice. I
I
couldn't imagine.
and I dyed it black also.
I couldn't imagine you with that much hair down there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I had very thick wavy hair at the time too. And so I was going to college, and I took a trip with one of my friends to Ohio to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And while I was there, I got my hair stuck in the seatbelt. And I'm
Been
like,
there.
oh, well, forget this. So I went across the street, went to the barber. I said, I want a crew cut. He says, are you sure? I said, yeah. When I went back to college, nobody recognized me. One of my friends is like, I recognize the bag. I don't remember the guy carrying it. Like, yeah, it's me.
Crew cut.
And with this, so my hair has been thinning the past 5 or 6 years. And when I had my latest epilepsy, I don't know why I got into my latest seizure. I don't know what got in my head. I said, you know what? I'm gonna have my head shaved. My wife's like, why? I'm like, that way people take it seriously. They'll see the scar from the brain surgery. They'll know, hey, something's up with that guy. So had my had my head shaved and like, hey, it doesn't look too bad. So I had it shaved in I guess it was March, mid-March. I'm like, okay. And then I decided the other day I had a coupon for a $5 haircut. I said, all right, take it off.
$5 haircut.
Yep. So there you go.
Can't beat it.
Right.
Um, yeah, I went and just got a list of things to go through randomly.
Okay.
Uh, This one, it says, should I consider changing meds? I'm a 19-year-old man. I've been taking Keppra for a little over a year now. I started 500 milligrams twice a day, and after another seizure a few months back, my dosage was increased to 750 milligrams a day. My seizures are petit mal. The only way I can describe them is blacking out and losing short-term memory for a few minutes, along with the intense deja vu. I haven't had another seizure besides the one that led to my dosage change. Pre-Keppra, I would have I would have around every month, one around every month or two since I was a little kid. At first, my side effects were really bad irritability and pretty noticeable drowsiness. I figured I'd have some time, and after about 2 months, the irritability mostly went away and the drowsiness isn't noticeable anymore. Looking back, once being pissed off at everything and everyone wasn't the main thing on my mind. My life could basically be summed up in one word: anxiety. I tried not to blame the meds since there was other stuff going on in my life, college breakup, stressful internships, etc., especially the last semester. I've really been questioning why I felt so depressed and anxious when on paper things are going well. At this point, it's hard not to point the finger at the Keppra. I've also been worried about what other meds might not work or could have been even worse. Should I consider changing meds? I think that's one for the doctor. I guess no. Like
Right.
if you're if you don't like it, I say try to get a change or ask your doctor about it.
Yeah. So I personally am not a fan of Kepra, because for me, made me manic. I was up for 23 hours straight, talking at a mile a minute, like, and having five conversations going on at the same time, driving everybody around me nuts. They were all scared. They were all upset. I was angry, not raging, but I was mad that they weren't keeping up with my conversations. But I also had two coworkers at my last job on Kepra, and they were the chillest people. Like, hey, there's an emergency going on. All right, yeah, we'll check it out. So, you know, interesting how it affects people. The important thing is, I think for this person is, all right, you obviously have anxiety, you have other things going on, you're upset. What's more important? No seizures or feeling like that all the time?
Right,
Personally, I would talk to the doctor and see would a lower dose of Keppra and adding something else have a happy medium where you don't have that anxiety, you don't have the other issues, but you also don't have seizures. So I think that's something to talk to the doctor about.
right. I remember someone saying, "Do you want to be happy and epileptic, or do you want to be angry and not epileptic?" That's
Right,
how
right,
it
right.
is. It's crazy. But
Yeah. So my dog is chewing a bone very loudly. Is that coming in?
no, I can't hear it.
Okay, good.
Um, one that I didn't think that isn't even a question. Someone said, "Is it safe to drive on all these meds?" Husband is coming up in 6 months, seizure free, and can legally resume driving in our state. He has been hard to control the past couple of years, so he is on 10 milligrams of Omvi twice a day, 200 milligrams of Vimpat twice a day, 200 milligrams of Excopri once daily. Does anyone have any information to safety of driving while on this amount of medication? Of course, he will message his neurologist, but I'm just curious in the meantime. Yeah, I don't suggest it. I hear a lot of bad things about Omvi and Vimpat. I haven't necessarily heard anything bad about, but yeah,
Yeah, that again, that's for the doctor. But
yeah,
also, that's another thing where, well, how controlled are the seizures? Are you awake? Are you aware? Are you running, are you going to be running stop signs? If you have a situation where somebody's merging and there's a red light and there's somebody coming on head on, are you going to be able to think fast enough to be able to react? So I think
right.
that's important. And even, okay, haven't had seizures, but how is your reaction time?
What do you think? You would drive in 6 months?
I'm hoping to. I'm 3 months in. I feel I'm doing well. I'm keeping up at work. I feel like things are going well enough, but I'm going to revisit that in 6 months when I talk to my neurologist and see. Um, so yes, I would love to, but I'll see how I am in another 3 months, how I'm doing. And I'm also only on lacosamide, which has been PAT, and I'm on a low dosage.
Okay. So, like, how long do you have to be seizure free in your state?
In my state, it's 6 months.
Oh, okay. So you just got another 3 months and you'll be good.
Possibly, at least legally, yes, but I'm gonna check. Now, hang on 1 second. I'm gonna let the dogs out. That helps a little bit. Anyway, so with the whole driving thing, yes, I would 100% love to be able to drive, but I'm gonna see how I am in 3 more months. I feel I'm ready, but I kind of want to have like some cognitive testing, just make sure I have, because in a split second, things could go south really bad.
Yeah. Like Anthony said, he said one minute you're doing good, bang.
Right.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere. You thought you had a good day, thought you're doing everything right. Yeah,
And some even say 6 months is not enough because how do you know that it's controlled with the medication at that point?
right. Uh, how was your last year? How was last year for you?
For me, it was good until I realized I was having focal aware seizures. I wasn't aware that there was so many different type of seizures.
Mm.
So, I had the brain abscess, I had the surgery, and then after a year of all that, my neurologist at the time said, okay, well, we know the reason why you had a seizure, so let's take you off medication and then see how it goes. The first 6 months, you're most likely to have a seizure. The second 6 months, you're second most likely. And I almost made it that full year. Um, but I also realized that I was having focal aware seizures, and I thought it was recovery from the brain surgery, and no, it wasn't. So really, it wasn't controlled as much as we thought it was.
How long ago were you diagnosed?
So technically, I was diagnosed in March.
Oh, so you're fairly new to this, but not your first
Yeah,
season.
exactly. Yeah, so I had two seizures in 2023, apparently a bunch of focal aware seizures since then, and then another tonic-clonic this last March.
Okay. I've been good since April, so
Nice.
trying to make it the rest of the year. That's what I'm aiming
Yeah.
for.
All
Trying to do
right.
everything right, eat right, and all that good stuff. I haven't been eating right, but I'm working on it now, and I think I can do it. I
So
ate good this
actually,
morning. I don't usually eat breakfast, but I ate breakfast this morning just to tell myself I
okay,
did it.
okay. So about eating right. So what do you feel is the best way that we should be eating? I mean, obviously nobody should be eating high processed foods.
Um, I don't know. I just had some cereal today,
Hey, I love cereal. So
and yeah, I use almond milk. I don't know if that's better for the health thing, but I like almond milk instead, so I do that. Um,
okay. So my new neurologist gave me paperwork where it recommended a lower carb diet. Could be keto, but he said, the main thing is you want to lower your carb. Um, and not give up fruits and vegetables per se, but you don't want to be eating like, Captain Crunch 5 times a day and things like that,
and no,
which I would love to. But I've been looking into things, and one of my cousins, he's a scientist where he's looking into gene therapy for cancer research, and he's very big on lower carb and lower processed foods, and he says that would help epileptics a lot, and more research is coming out about that.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm very really curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I like research. I want to
Yeah,
be a scientist someday. It's never too late.
right? I just don't want to be a science experiment.
Right. For now, I'm the experiment. But
Right.
I got something else here. You ever took Keppra? Oh no, yeah, you said you did take Keppra. I took
Yes,
Keppra too,
yes.
but this one says, for the record, I take 3,000 milligrams of Keppra extra release at night. Diagnosed in 2020. Yesterday, I worked out for the first time in a long time. It was a 30-minute workout with a group, and it felt good to move. Everything hurts today, but that's because I'm old and creaky. Like I said, it's been a long time. Here's the thing: after working out a lot, I stopped by CVS to pick up some vitamin D that doctor said I need now. I got home and passed out. Like you could have lit me on fire and I wouldn't have woken up for like
Oh
three
boy.
hours, very similar to the post seizure nap. Then I thought about it. I'm also in a marching band, and last summer, after most of the parades we did, I did the same thing. Came home, showered, and passed out. Could this be my epilepsy? Could this be the meds? I know nobody here is a doctor or even plays on TV, but does anybody happen to know anyone else? I don't know. That sounds like some good sleep, I guess. I mean, unless it comes with the
Right.
hospital headache. Like,
Oh,
I wish I
right.
can get home and just fall asleep. Uh,
So I do. So this past seizure, the ER doctor gave me Depakote. And I was sleeping so much, I was actually starting to become depressed because I don't want all my free time eaten up with sleeping.
right.
And I did have a few weeks off of work, but I was sleeping like 16, 18 hours a day. Just wake up, eat, go right back to bed, and like totally passed out sleeping. Where like I would set my alarm so I could take my meds, and I would just like either not hear the alarm, my wife would have to wake me up, or I'd shut the alarm off, go right back to deep sleep. So we lowered the Depakote, and then finally got off of that as I went on to the lacosamide. But that was it recovery from the seizure, or was that medication?
Right.
So once I got off the Depakote, I got energy back, working, but sometimes, so I should say some weeks, every other day is tired day, where I either have to leave work early and go right to bed, or take a longer lunch and take a nap if I'm happen to be working from home. But there's also other weeks where it's every single day. I'm exhausted all day. At work, I could barely hold my head up. People are asking, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But no, I'm falling asleep. And then I get home and go to bed and I wind up sleeping, crashing out. Like I can't get to the bed fast enough. I think that's medication at that point because that's talking like a month and a half after the seizure. So I feel that's medication.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's just the medication, not a seizure, because seizure, he didn't really say anything about the possible headache or anything that comes with that or whatever. He was just like, I just go right to sleep. Like that. If you
Hmm.
just say you just go right to sleep, that sounds like you're getting good rest. Um,
Right, right,
sounds nothing like a seizure.
right.
Yeah. There were no signs. He just said he exercised and got tired and went to sleep. Oh yeah, the person did say they're old also. So I don't know if
Well,
easier sleeps come with getting older.
old is relative. I'm going to be 51. Not that long ago, I thought 50 was old.
Right. Yeah, I thought that till my mom got that age. I'm like, you're not that old. You're really not.
I remember when my dad turned 40, I started crying because I'm like, oh, more than half your life is over.
More than okay.
Yep.
So I guess I'd be considered middle aged at 35,
There you go. Well, I'm 50. I don't feel old, so there's that.
mid to late age.
Yeah.
Okay, another one here is wow. Says, am I faking seizures? For years, for years, ever since since I first started having problems, I've often felt like I'm faking my illness even after getting a diagnosis. Like with my Tourette syndrome. I wanted to come on here and describe my experience and see if it's real or not, for lack of a better word. Before these little episodes, I get a bit zoned out, sleepy. I usually describe it to people as feeling droopy, and I don't take in information very well. Sometimes a few minutes beforehand, I get a bit anxious, like a weird feeling of dread in my stomach. During them, my limbs get very heavy, and I somewhat go fully limp, mainly to the neck, but also my arms and rarely my legs as well. Sometimes I try to pull myself out of this, but either I'm too far sluggish or droopy to move, or I can regain a bit of control for a little while, but soon slip back into it. On top of this, my eyes unfocused sometimes before the episode, and my joints tense and twitch sometimes. However, that might be my tics. The main thing that makes me doubt is that this this I'm wait, this I'm decently conscious. I can understand that things are going on around me or that someone might be talking to me, but I feel so sluggish. And while I want to respond or do something, my body just won't respond how I want it to. I haven't much. I haven't found much information on how conscious people are during seizures or how seizures feel. I worry that I'm unconsciously faking them. Afterward, I have a similar feeling to beforehand, a bit drowsy, foggy, and I'll try to recollect my thoughts. I'm also looking around at my surroundings and feel sort of disconnected. Sometimes I'll have a headache as well. I know it may seem a bit silly, but I just want some sort of peace of mind and figure out whether I'm faking this or not, or if it's just different thing entirely going on. Side note, I also have dissociative episodes, sort of similar to these, except I don't go limp and I just mentally drift off. And I wonder if these might be some variation of dissociative episodes instead. Appreciate any comments. Um, that's a lot going on. Uh,
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts, but what do you think?
uh, yeah, I think there's a lot of different types of epilepsy. Can't take my
Hmm.
word for it, but yeah, if you got something going like that on, a lot going on like that, I think it's time to get checked up. This is
Absolutely.
definitely one for a doctor because there's a lot going on. I mean, I can't put everything together and say this one and this one, this one's this, but this is a lot. Um, I wouldn't say they're faking them. I say something's going on because that was the
Hmm.
question: am I faking seizures? I can't say faking a seizure, but something is going on. You have to see a doctor about.
I agree. So first, there's something called imposter syndrome. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
If not,
It's where the person feels like they're an imposter with something, and they feel like somebody's going to find out that they're making stuff up, or they're lying, or they don't really have something. So, like, for example, I'm an IT person. I work on IT, been doing it for a really long time. And I had a new job where the company transferred me from New Jersey to Kansas, where in the middle of a cornfield, they were building a brand new manufacturing plant. And I stood there and I'm like, oh no, they're gonna know I'm not as good as they think I am. I've never worked on something where I'm in control of, okay, we're going to wire stuff up this way. Okay, we should design the server room this way. We should design the conference rooms and have the video set up here and the audio. I've worked on those, but they were already in place. So I'm thinking, oh no, they're going to find out I'm not as good as I as they thought I was, as I portrayed myself. So that's imposter syndrome, where even if you do well at something, you're fearing that they're going to find out you really don't know what you're doing. So I feel like this person has imposter syndrome where, oh no, people are going to think I'm faking, or am I actually faking? I don't really have this. So there's that. At the second point, a lot of what this person mentioned, I have felt, especially right after a seizure. This last seizure, I couldn't even sign my name for a birthday card. I had like hold my arm up in order to sign it because I just had so much muscle fatigue, which is what this person had had discussed one of the symptoms. And also the whole disassociative aspect of it. I felt that a lot of times in the past 13, 14 months, and found out that that's the focal aware seizures. So I'm Ricky Research, and I found that there are like 27 different types of seizures. So definitely this person needs to go checked out. I don't think this person is faking. And there's multiple, people think of seizures as what you see on TV as, shaking and, and whatnot, but there's a whole bunch of different types. So I feel this person is not faking, should relax about that part, and definitely get checked out more.
yeah, that's the misconception that I don't like. Is everyone's like it's shaking. That's the seizure.
Right.
You can't say one is worse than the other just because you're not say shaking.
Hmm.
Yeah, they get bad even when you're not shaking,
Absolutely.
like wandering off.
Yeah.
I got another one. It says, describe your possible state. What is the possible state like? Do you remember any of it? None of it? Parts of it? How long is it? Is there any kind of different stages to it? Can you talk, respond, get up, move around, etc.? What kind of awareness do you have? Um, Before the possible state, remember any of it? None of it? Part of it? How long? Um, Possible is where I'm trying to remember what happened before that. um, Possible, yeah, it's just a bunch of confusion. And most of the time, it's like, okay, I had a seizure. Now I'm just trying to remember what I was doing then, or what was going on at that moment. Yeah, I get lost a lot after a possible state. I've wandered off after a possible state too, and then wondered like, why am I going here? And then I go back.
Right.
Yeah. Describe your possible state. What are you like after a seizure?
So I could tell you what I feel is going on is slightly different than what people around me notice. So, like for example, my first tonic-clonic, I was working remote and I was sitting at my desk working, and next thing you know, I wake up on the floor. I'm like, oh, what's going on? My wife says, you had a seizure. I'm like, no, I didn't. I just fell asleep. And I sat back down. I was ready to go back to work. She's like, no, we're going to the hospital. I'm like, well, let me finish this email. I'll send my manager a text, let him know what's going on. She's like, no, get in the car now. So I thought everything was just fine because I thought, all right, I wasn't feeling good. I fell asleep. But then while on the way to the hospital, my son was driving me to the ER, and I'm looking around and everything seemed reversed where the entrance to KFC, oh, the entrances moved on to the other side. The order of the stores were different. Like that was so weird to me. And I kept commenting constantly on it every single, like that house isn't supposed to be there, or hey, that restaurant moved. Like they're like, no, it didn't. So to me, everything seemed fine except for those things like that. But I was ready to go right back to work. I was ready to finish my job, and then my wife's like, "No, you're not able to."
Yeah, I'm able to move around and stuff, but most of the time I want to sit down in one place and not go many places. Uh, yeah, 'cause this person said, "Are you able to move around, etc., and eat and all that?" Yeah, usually I might sit down and smoke or something and just try to get my head together. Most of the time I do smoke and then I'll go to sleep, or yeah, or I'll just eat something and try to stay in front of people if I am trying to stay awake.
Hmm.
Try to do something with everybody, like be in the living room or something.
Right, right.
Other than that, like I said, sleeping is my thing, especially in a possible state, because that headache is the worst. It's like nothing you can do to shake it. And if I am awake, then I'm sitting there thinking about it. And when's it going to go away? I'm not able to focus on anything, especially like a movie or something with that headache. 'Cause I'm sitting there like
Hmm.
this or
Hmm.
something.
Right.
But yeah, hate the possible state.
Yeah, no, it's not fun. My other seizures, definitely the headache, the headache. Ugh.
Someone says, how do I get my family to chill out? I'm having a lot of trouble with panicked family members to the point of immense frustration. Every single time I close my eyes or sit in silence watching the TV or make any sort of humming noise, I get a frantic, "Are you having a seizure?" Even when I'm half asleep, and it scares the hell out of me. And I do get that they are being caring, as those can be sometimes. And I do have semi regular seizures, but God, it just irritates me so much. I've been diagnosed for nearly 2 years now. I am typically able to move around, make sound, able to make sound, sort of attention seeking movement, or cry for help before I lose it completely. And I have made this clear many times, but they still think anything, they still think anything even slightly restful is something to panic over. I've spoken to them about this many times, but they're not going to change. Is there any way I could get them to chill out? Uh, my family's different. I don't think I've asked them to chill out.
Well, you've also
Yeah, I
been
think that's a conversation for you and the family,
right.
a deep conversation.
Yeah, 'cause I know for years that seems fine.
I can't really hear you, Rick.
All right, is that better? All right, is that better?
Huh?
Hang on one sec. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did. So I know with you, your family, you've been dealing with the seizures a lot longer, so I feel like your family might be a little bit more used to it.
Yeah.
Whereas, it's still fairly new for my family, so you know, I found we're talking and I go like this for a second. You're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Whoa,"
Ooh, yeah. I
or
still get the
it's
"Are you okay?" So
Well, that's fine, but it's more, all of a sudden it becomes the center of attention for a while. I'm like, really, I'm okay. Why are you holding your head up? I don't know. We were just talking. I just went like that for a second. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Um, but yeah, that's something I think talking it over with the family, maybe go into like the Epilepsy Foundation website, look at some YouTube videos, things like that might help and them relax a little bit.
Mm. 'Cause, yeah, with my family, they're in a cool state now with it. I mean, they fully understand it. It's been 19 years. I wouldn't actually. I'm not going to say they understand it, but they're not as bothered by when I have a seizure or when things do happen. I do get that. Are you okay? But it's gotten to a point where now I think they get a little more frustrated with the "you're okay," and I just be like yeah, like you said, put your hand on your head, and someone be like, "You're okay," but it's like, "You're okay? What are you doing? Why you have your hand like that?" So
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
that one. Because they say they know the signs, or you did this once upon a time and this happened. So there's like nothing I could do or say. So most of the time I just chill by myself or chill with family for a little bit, little spurts at a time. I like my alone time or with my
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, like you said, it's just a lot of yeah. Are you okay? Sometimes it will get irritating. I can tell sometimes. Sometimes with me, I'm like, what did you see? What am I doing? Sometimes I'm doing nothing. I get that. Are you okay? And I'm like, what did you
Right.
see that I did not see? I believe we're watching TV, and you're asking me, am I okay? And yeah, I get that a few times. Oh, just like this one, it says, can you have a seizure without noticing? Earlier last night, around I think 7, I had a seizure. I don't know. Brain was very foggy. I woke up to being on one of the couches the lady I live with owns, and she just stares at me and then proceeds to tell me I was wailing in my room for about 30 minutes or so, and then just sat down and kept saying I was going to meet my mom. In the hours before, I was hanging out with my mom. I have a mark on my face, and both sides of my tongue are red and swollen. Nose ring was knocked out of septum, and my shoe
Oof.
holder was broken. I also proceeded having. I also proceeded after having my episode to throw up absolutely everything in my stomach. I've had 2 seizures prior, one on my birthday last year. That one was just a grand mal, and then had one in January of this year. And it was mild one. I had it while driving and hit a tree going 5 miles per hour. I lost my job. Any thoughts? Yeah, you can have seizures without noticing. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes, like I said, the last one, there were people who like, I was like, what did I do that that you noticed that I didn't? It could be one of those, like, because usually I don't get the response. Oh, you did this or you did that. Uh, 'Cause I swear it'd be like 2 seconds, and I'm paying attention to TV or something.
Mm-hmm.
You think you? Well, yeah. I guess all my seizures I don't notice because once it's happened, I'm not
Yeah.
noticing. I'm not there anymore. You had
Right.
any seizures where you don't notice yet?
Well, so the all those focal aware seizures, um, I would be talking during a meeting, and then all of a sudden everybody's quiet, and I'm like, "Oh, were they waiting for me to answer? Did I not hear a question?" And like, somebody's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like you were kind of like staring off in space. I'm like, "For how long?" "Oh, for like 12 seconds or something." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know." So, I tried to. Oh, I was lost in thought over what we were talking about. Well, we were talking about something boring, are you sure? So, something like that. Or, oh, I got distracted. And then I pull out the whole, I had 2 brain surgeries, so I get distracted more easily. But during the larger seizures and stuff, I don't know because all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I'm getting a little sleepy, I'm getting a little dizzy. Why am I sweating? And then all of a sudden I wake up on the floor.
Yeah. With the not noticing thing, for a long time, I didn't notice I was having the seizures because I didn't know some of those things that were happening were seizures. So
Yep, yep.
I could say that, yeah, like I was having seizures and not noticing, and I don't think no one else was without noticing either because regular people have hot flashes. I thought it was only women.
Right, right.
But I told my mom I was clammy and all that, and she was like, "It seems like a hot flash." And I was like, "Touch my arms, like everything's just clammy, chills every now
Mm-hmm.
and then."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if that type, you should talk to your doctor because you can have them without noticing, not even knowing it's a seizure. I went 10 years before
Yeah.
pointing it out to my doctor that this is what's going on, and I found out online that this is a seizure. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Wow, you didn't let me know that was going on. I didn't notice for 10 years.
Right. Right,
It's just
right.
been happening, and I've been like, okay." Like I tell everyone, I usually think that's like the precursor. Like I feel weird, but no, that's actually the seizure.
Yep.
Feeling weird and
Yeah.
sweating before it. I'm not sweating because
Yep.
it's gonna happen. That's
I,
usually what
I
happens. I think is I start sweating maybe, and I start doing the panicking, and that's what might make me have a seizure. But
it,
actually,
it
that would be
it could
considered
be.
two seizures then, because I had
Right.
one that made me panic and have another one that turned into a tonic. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can't notice if you don't know, not educated on it, because I really wasn't.
Absolutely. I spent, hours and hours going through all these different websites and reading stuff, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, that's focal aware. Okay, that's focal unaware. Okay, that's tonic-clonic. Okay, that's, grand mal, partial mal, which are now renamed this, and that's when you realize all the different things. And like all the time sitting there, like I'm just sitting here in a cool room. Why am I sweating so much? Oh, yeah, that's a seizure. Okay, great.
Yeah, I started having to write them down as certain things because I was like, I want to point this out to my doctor, how often it's happening and
Mm-hmm.
what's exactly happening. So I do that time to time. Put a little date next to it. Yeah, I got to start writing everything down. Sometimes I can't write things down because not near a notepad, but lately I've gotten a few written down. But I haven't had any focals lately. Like I've
Good.
been pretty good with focals for some weeks now. I'm
Good.
gonna
Good.
blame it on the B12 so far. I say that's doing good for me. Someone told me it's good for brain function. It's been working. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So
So one thing, if you don't have pen and paper, or if you're not able to write, you have a phone. There's a
no
note app on
sir.
there. Yeah, if you're able to talk, just call out something, and then you can write it out later.
Yeah, I'll start telling Siri to do it.
Yep.
Didn't think of that. Usually, like, I'll think I need to write something down. Let me go get a notepad. Go to the room to get a notepad and turn right around because I don't know why I went to the room. Get to the living
Uh-huh.
room, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I went to get a notepad, but I'm not going back. Not this time.
Right, right.
Or I forgot what I was getting the notepad to write in particular. Yeah. We go through a lot of crazy things that I think of with epilepsy. Like no one
Right.
knows these things. Like I said, like coming back to the room and then going back. I've went to the mailbox and walked right past the mailbox. Then I came back and walked right past it again and came in the house. And then I was like, oh, I went out there to go to the mailbox, but I turned around when I got to the curb because I was wondering why I went there in the first
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yep,
And I was
yep.
like, oh no, I'm back upstairs. I'm not going back down. Yeah, I've did so many things. Just people don't really notice are big things for people with epilepsy. They think it's little things like forgetting
Oh,
something
yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
from room to room. Forget something.
So, hi Jeff. Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
I was just editing a video and it just started. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I got another one. It says, anyone else feel guilty about traumatizing people who witness their seizures? My mother is mostly the one affected. When she is near me and weird sound comes from me unintentionally, or I make sounds in the middle of the night while shifting around, she quickly enters panic mode. Every seizure I have, the air leaving my lungs sounds like a scream. That's what scares her. My father checks on me too, but he doesn't go get all panicky like my mother. I feel like I might have given her PTSD. Should I feel bad? Uh, I'd say no. It's something you can't control. So
Right.
I'd say talk to her. You shouldn't feel bad because feeling bad and send you into a depression. Um,
Right. Right.
yeah, you gotta talk to her because no, no, my mom doesn't get panicky. But like I said, it's been 20 years almost, so she pretty much she knows what to do. Sometimes she'll hold me. You seen the video that I posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
held me and make sure I got through it without panicking. Nothing like a mother that's your superhero.
Right. Right. Not all heroes wear capes.
Right. What about you? You think she's traumatized them and should feel bad? I don't think she should feel
I,
bad. Just
I don't think she should feel bad. It's not like she did something on purpose for attention.
yeah,
That's when you feel bad. But yes, you're upset by it, but you didn't do anything wrong. Don't feel guilty. Talk it over. Thank her, and also, I think really communication is key. Talk things over.
yeah. Especially when it comes to family and parents, talk about it.
Hmm.
Those are the people who are around you the most. You don't talk about
Yep,
it, things might not change.
exactly.
People don't take my focal seizures seriously. Understandable. I can have focal seizures and people around me might not even be able to tell unless I have a seizure in my sleep where I convulse and lose consciousness. Nobody takes me seriously. I feel like I have to vent just to get attention. What do I do to get people to take me seriously? Uh,
That's education.
yeah,
You
because I
know.
was thinking that with like when I have focals, my sister's not noticing. And I started to think, like, how do I get her to take this seriously? And I think it's just she would either have to sit down and want to know what's going on, but sometimes it's hard to get people to want to know what's going on when they think, yeah, like they say, don't take it serious. You don't think it's nothing just because I blanked out for a few seconds. You can get kidnapped and blanking out for a few seconds. Well, not me, because
Oof.
nobody's going to carry me off, but yeah. And after that few seconds, I'd notice and get out or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with me, I set boundaries with people. I let them know, hey, if something's up, I'm gonna remove myself from the situation. My mom, for some reason, follows me, and I got to tell her back up. um, so like there'll be times when I'm like in an aura and too many people talking around me. I just get up and walk away. I remove myself in the situation, and they know something's up because I warned them, and I said, just keep away. I'll be fine in a few minutes. Just give me space. Or I'll stick my fingers in my ears like a little kid, and then I'll get up and walk away. That's another sign.
I was going to say, that's a good sign right there.
That's not a sign, keep talking or ask me 15 other questions about, nope, that now's not the time.
It's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, with my sister, it's the same thing. Lately, I've been thinking to like tell her what's going on, but I don't think she wants to understand, to be honest. Because the blackout seizure, I think the people, like people said, those aren't serious. Depends on what you're doing. Those are just as serious because people do
Mm-hmm.
them while they're driving and stuff, and
Ooh,
people do it
right.
while they're working, and just someone could be climbing on a ladder, but mine somewhere else. Still
Yeah.
dangerous. Yeah. People have to start taking things serious. Like you said, education. People have to
Yeah.
want to know. I've explained
And
things to my mother and she wants to know more. So that's good. Not everybody
oh
wants
yeah.
to know.
Right. And even like, maybe even like making a little cheat sheet, just have a piece of paper, when I'm having this is what, you know, dizzy, headache, tired, like just like the different things. So that way, hey, if you don't want to learn or you don't want to take time to learn, at least, read these 5 bullet points.
Right.
That might be helpful.
Might be if you can get someone that wants to read it again. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something else says, does anyone else feel like epilepsy ruined your life? At 22, I was living on my own in LA, doing really well with my music career, feeling good, dating, had a sex life, sex drive, on good antidepressants for years. Then seizures started getting worse. Now I'm 25, living at home, can't drive, stop playing music, stop listening to music. So beyond depressed. I switched meds 8 times now, currently on Omvi. hoping it doesn't make me as depressed or want to die as all the other 7. All the other 7 that I took. I just feel so alone and I miss my old self. I'm sure you guys can relate. It's just so hard. I don't like this life. Um, I don't know. Like in the early beginning, I would say ruined my life. Like he's 3 years in. So yeah, I'm almost 20 years in. So yeah, I understand where it's coming from. Ruined what I had going on. I was just doing so good, especially in your 20s. I got it in my teens. I was a little careless once I got it and I had to get used to it. I was still doing teen stuff and not caring about things. And eventually my friends are the ones who had to keep calling the ambulance and I'm in the streets with them or I'm at their houses. Sometimes they called, sometimes they didn't call. But yeah, I could see early in where you could feel like it ruined your life, ruined what you had going. But eventually,
Right.
maybe I think I maybe would have been a race car driver. So not sure which one is more dangerous. I like
Especially with
speed.
your Camaro, right?
Yeah, I like speed. So yeah, feel like it ruined your life.
I would say changed. I wouldn't say ruined. Um, Again, mine is a little bit different because I was in my late 40s and, you know, I was this close to dying from a brain abscess that was misdiagnosed. So the seizures actually saved my life because it got doctors to pay attention to what was going on, where I kept getting blown off for all certain things. Even the first seizure, I got blown off, by the doctors in the ER. But I consider myself so fortunate. Number one, I have an awesome support system at home. Number two, I have really lucked out with work. I started a new job last year. They are so understanding. Everything is really smooth with them. They know if I need to take extra time to sleep, let me do it. I'll make up for it later. I'll work a weekend or I'll do something. So they understand. They work with me on things. But I also feel like my epilepsy is not as bad as others. I mean, I read about all these people that they're on 3 different medications and they're still having seizures and they're not able to function. There's so many different things that I'm fortunate I can do. Oh no, I'm super tired. Oh no, my memory is not as perfect as it used to be. Or, oh no, I can't focus as well. People have it so much worse. So I feel it changed my life. It did not ruin my life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, like I said, I could see where this person is coming from. They're in their
Mm-hmm,
early
mm-hmm.
20s and they're just getting it. So everything you did have going, like the music and stuff, I could see how that makes you
Yeah.
depressed. Um, I'm in my 30s and yeah, I started like doing the little DJ thing and it worked for so long. I was so happy about everything I was doing with it, learning and everything. But
Uh-huh.
if I didn't learn things with muscle memory like DJing, then some of those things I forgot. The readings I would forget, and I'd be reading stuff over and over to go back and forth and learning. But the muscle memory is what matters, especially with that.
Right, right.
A lot of things that I'm not good at remembering, like can't retain short-term memory, no retaining, none of that at all. Yeah,
Yeah, now I hear you. And I used to be able to play guitar. I can't. I could hold it. That's about it. Um, so like this particular person, so like my passion is my family and also learning. So that didn't go away with epilepsy. If my passion went away, that would totally, change things. So I get where this person is coming from. You're into creating music and now you don't even want to listen to music. I could totally see the depression taking over with that person.
yeah,
And who knows? Maybe you might be able to DJ again, maybe in certain circumstances and things like that, things might
maybe.
evolve. Um, but I could see where this person feels it ruined their life because they're just like you said, just getting starting out doing their thing, and it destroyed what they were passionate about.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep DJing eventually.
Yeah.
I did find it really interesting, and The little bitty check that I did get for the first time was cool. I was like, okay, I can do this and get paid like this one time, but yeah, it works. I'm gonna do more. I'm not gonna let epilepsy hold me back. I want to learn how to
There you
play a
go.
piano. To be honest, I've been always thinking about that, playing piano. I always see
That'd be
this
pretty
piano
cool.
when I go to my doctor's appointments. There's people in the lobby. Sometimes someone's playing it, and sometimes someone's not. Then I went over to it one day when nobody was playing it, and I pressed one key. Then everybody turned around and looked at me, and I was like, "Oh, they thought I was gonna start playing."
Right,
I was
right.
just pressing a key as I was walking out, and everybody turned around like a crowd that was gonna watch me play the piano.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, I wish. I do want to really learn how to play piano. I look forward to that. Speak it into existence. Well, this one says for women only, so we can't do that one. My neurologist ignores the side effects of the medication I take, of the medication she prescribed for me. Thank you for all the responses. Oh, that's an edit. I suffer
Oh,
from
okay.
focal epilepsy and was diagnosed when I was 14 to 15 years old. Since I have been taking medications to prevent seizures from Lamictal, which I discontinued due to allergic reaction, then Keppra also discontinued because it made me have anxiety much worse. Since I was about 18 to 19 years old, I have been taking Topamax. I was always told that I could do cycles with the medication and then stop, but now my neurologist is convinced that I should continue even though I don't have seizures and my tracing has improved. When I had visible side effects, noticeably weight loss, they immediately decreased my dose. However, they don't listen when I complain about serious things, side effects, even marked in the leaflet, inability to concentrate, memory loss, brain fog, etc. They blame it on depression and anxiety and stress. This is why I rant, and they're tired of me ranting. What should I do? The doctor is not listening to me. Get another opinion, another doctor?
Yeah, I've always been an advocate for if you don't like how your doctor's doing or whatnot, always get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion. I mean, whether it's something like allergies, I've had to do that. My son has two autoimmune diseases, and we saw like nine different doctors. One doctor, gave the diagnosis that he was spoiled. And I looked at
Hmm.
her and I said, so you think that by him eating food, he's being spoiled, that he breaks out in hives and throws up instantly and his throat closes up? I don't know. That's talent. If
Right.
he's faking that. So, if you're not happy with your doctor, get another opinion. And if you wind up getting the same opinion, well, maybe that doctor might be on the right track. But there's no reason why you got to be stuck with a doctor you're not happy with.
Yeah, do best of three.
There you go.
Like boxer, if you win 2 of 3 rounds, or 2 of those 3 fights you had, it's a win. Um, I guess if two of those three have something in common, then take the common opinion. Uh,
Right? But they might be onto something.
yeah. Someone else says, "How much is your medications?" I hope I'm not the only one who has crappy insurance. My Keppra is $130.85 every 2 months. I think that's good. Um,
Right? I mean, I don't know what their financial situation is, but that's not
yeah, I
bad.
was gonna say, I don't know what the financial situation is, but yeah, I think mine when I didn't have when my insurance lapsed and I didn't go fill out my information, I think it was like only $65, and it was like 3 bottles. It was like 3 months worth. But then
Wow.
again, that's could be different state. I'm in California, and yeah, how much your pills medication costing you?
Uh, well, I was fortunate. I met my deductible this year by going to the ER, so it's not costing me anything right now, but
Uh,
it was like $30 for 90 days.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's hard. So like my insurance, you pay by the prescription. So if it's 30 pills, it's $30. So I said, oh, well, if this is something I'm going to be on for a while, I want 90, for the 30.
Right.
That's usually so my son's medication, it's $1,200 a shot, but going through the doctor, not the doctor, I'm sorry, going through the pharmaceutical company's website, he does a study where he answers questions every now and then, and it only costs $15. So a lot of medications, if you go to the manufacturer's website, there's either direct pay or there's coupons. There's all sorts of things to bring that price down. I'm trying to remember some other medic. Oh, so my GI doctor about 5 years ago had put me on a medication. Even with insurance, it was 180 a month. But I went to the company's website and they had a copay coupon where it was $20 a month. I said, okay, that's much better.
Right. Much better. Like I
Yeah.
said, mine when I didn't do my insurance, like it said, it was 90 days worth of pills, which is 3 months, for $65. So yeah, I wouldn't say they were that bad, but then again, that was 2 years ago. So there's a lot that's changed in these 2 years that might be a lot more expensive in this 4 years that we're going through at the moment.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah. I can't believe like a lot of people are saying stuff about their insurance and their disability being taken and they have to pay for their medication now. I seen something where someone said they were paying like $1,200 for Nasalium.
Oof.
Uh, yeah, I got some Nasalium I don't use to put on the market, but yeah, $1,000 is a lot.
Yeah. Well, like my son's shots for his arthritis, he has it's a biologic and it was 1,200 a month or no, I'm sorry, 1,200 a week for his shots. Um, so luckily we got that copay program through their manufacturer's website.
Mm.
So I'm gonna feed the dogs really quick because otherwise they're gonna be howling, barking, and biting at me and stuff. So I will be back in 2 minutes.
Do you take an emergency med? What is the best way to use it? I've been giving a script to Xanax and it's a dissolvable. When does it work best for you? Do you take it at first signs? I'm curious if it's my anxiety, this med will help, but it doesn't stop a seizure. Also, I'm learning that I don't always have seizures when I have an aura, so that's confusing to me. Thank you. Come to find out, an aura is a seizure. So, person is having seizures and they don't know exactly that this is a seizure. The aura is a
Right,
seizure.
right. Just like when my wife has auras with migraines, it is still considered a migraine. You're just in an aura as it's pretty much the main one starting up. Well, I know Xanax is anti-anxiety. Um, so we had some other health issues going on that brought about anxiety and also getting into an MRI machine. I pop a Xanax like a half hour, 45 minutes, before I go into an MRI. So if I know something's coming up, but that's supposed to work very quickly for anxiety. I don't know what it does for seizures, and this person may have anxiety causes a seizure to happen. That's definitely something for a doctor, that info, I think.
Yeah, I never use emergency meds so far because um, most times I'm in my room alone or in the living room alone or
Hmm.
sometimes around people. But yeah, once I'm able to say, go get the rescue meds, it's too late. Or
That makes sense, yeah.
once I'm thinking I might need rescue meds, like I said, mine have been blackouts and tonic clonics. And once I wander off and have a tonic, neither of those rescue meds, either I'm away from it or it's too late.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah. Got one that says seizures at work. I'm 21-year-old female. I've been epileptic for as long as I can remember. Whenever I start a new job, I always disclose it and give my coworkers clear guidelines. Usually, It's not a problem. On Sundays, I work over 13 hours and I skip my medication that day because it makes me very tired. Today, my closest coworker made a prank, almost dropping a box on me that sent me straight to the ground. I nearly ripped open the inside of my cheek and have a nasty wound inside of my lip. Luckily, I didn't pour boiling water over my face, but I woke up covered in drool, blood, and face to face with my very confused coworker. Despite me telling him many times, do not touch me when I'm seizing, he tried to restrain me. Now I'm emotionally devastated and I haven't even finished the kitchen task. So I have no idea when I'll be able to go home. I'm scared my bosses will find out and penalize me or something. My coworker hasn't apologized. He actually found it kind of funny. That's messed up.
That is messed up. I'm pretty sure that's considered harassment, and that sounds like grounds for that coworker not working there anymore.
Right. And it's a female, and yeah, that's messed up. It's her closest friend too. So
Yeah, that's sad.
closest friend making jokes, you got to talk to that friend. Depends on how the relationship is, also, because relationship could be the person thought you were cool with it, but then having the seizure. If the relationship was that much, then this person should know you have epilepsy. I think I just
Right.
tell where I tell jobs that I've had epilepsy, so most people know, and most of the times the coworkers know. So not that they know how to do anything, but they know it's going to happen sometime or another.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely, goes against all sorts of harassment conducts and rules, laws, regulations. Like any company would be letting that person go. And also, if that person was any sort of friend, they wouldn't be doing that. Um, there was a band in the late 70s, early 80s called Joy Division, where the lead singer had epilepsy, and the members in the band thought it was really funny when he would have seizures, especially on stage, so they would provoke him, and it actually drove him to suicide because of that. So, it's not something you mess around with.
Does Keppra depression resolve? Have been on low dose 250 milligrams twice a day for just over a couple weeks, and I feel depression setting in. Other side effects have subsided, but this feels like it's just getting started. Hard to tell because I'm also on my period, but I feel different and worse. It also feels like it's not very effective around my periods. Same thing happened when Lamictal didn't control my catamenial seizures. So am I reducing? So I'm reducing that and adding Keppra. Um, I don't know about how that time of the month goes or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't think I could really explain that one. Catamenial, I heard it has to do with hormones and all that. So that sucks that you got to worry about it once a month.
Right. And, there's also, it's not just one day out of the month either. It's, the week leading up, the week after. The hormones are all different. That's hard because the person's not on Keppra that long. So I'm sure it takes just like all the other medications, it takes like 4 to 6 to 8 weeks to really get into your system and get used to it. So it's hard to answer or hard to give advice about you know, the side effects and are things going to mellow out. It could, with Keppra, it was so bad we couldn't wait that long to see if things were going to mellow out. So that talk to the doctor, talk to other people on Keppra. That's hard to say. Like I don't think enough time went by to see if the Keppra, is going to regulate and calm things down.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I've heard from certain people that it dissolves. They went through the very depressive state. They went through the bad thoughts and all that. And they said they're good now, but like I said, some of those people are like 4 or 5 years in that said Kemper's working for them now, stuff like that. It's different for everyone, so I can't say that the depression's gonna resolve now or when.
Right.
And since I was a teen when I took it, I can't even tell you what that was like. I ignored the signs so much. Can doctors miss epilepsy on an EEG? I say yes, but I got to read it first.
I
So
agree.
first of all, I do not believe that I have epilepsy, but I might have predisposition to it. And I've heard that some people get diagnosed or start getting seizures at an older age. So I'm worried about that. I'm a 26-year-old female, and in general, I'm a little twitchy. Nothing too extreme, but some slight facial twitches. Sometimes hands and legs as well. A few years ago, when I got a vaccine, fainted. That's nothing too out of the ordinary for me. I'm squeamish. I have had many fainting spells since I was a kid, but this time a nurse saw me and said that I twitch my eyes a lot and told me that I need to get an EEG to check for epilepsy. After doing that, I was cleared. No signs of epilepsy. And then yesterday, I had a seizure. I smoked weed with my boyfriend and then ate some snacks, then fell asleep on the couch. When he woke up,
Hmm.
when he woke me up to go to bed, I went to the bathroom feeling drowsy the whole way. Then I started getting hot flashes and feeling like I was going to faint. So I just sat on the floor and called them over. And then I blacked out. But I vaguely remember my head shaking a lot. I was terrified. And so so was my boyfriend. It felt like it lasted a long time, but it was probably under a minute. And I threw up a lot. After this, I was pretty much fine. I asked my boyfriend what happened, cleaned up, and went to bed. It's the next morning now, and I'm not feeling fine. Just really scared to smoke again. And no, I can't go to the doctor and tell him about this, at least not the smoking part. So I'm kind of suspecting epilepsy, but also suspecting it's the weed and the snacks combo. I drank apple juice, in which gave me acid reflux before, and I fell asleep on the couch. But of course, only one of these can explain the seizure. Uh, I say an EEG can miss it because I've heard people saying that. So I've heard that
Yep.
a lot. People say they have normal EEGs and they've been misdiagnosed because their EEG is normal. What do you think?
Well, there's a reason why they give people EEGs where they're in the hospital for 5 days and they have electrodes drilled into their head because regular EEGs might not be able to pick up on things. It's also not a bad idea to have a second EEG. But drinking apple juice doesn't cause seizures, and neither does snacks and weed. They might lower your threshold, but epilepsy, is really what the main thing is. I think probably go for more testing. I might have missed it. Did the person have an MRI also?
Didn't
I don't
say.
think I don't think I don't think so. So,
Just
CAT
said it. Yeah,
scan,
it's an
MRI.
EEG.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, yes, I agree with you. EEG can miss it. um, Another EEG or possibly like that more in-depth one, along with CAT scan, MRI, and could also be one of those things where I've heard of people having only one seizure ever, but this could also be something that maybe 6 months, 8 months from now she might have another one.
Right. I've heard of people having one seizure too. They'd be like, "Oh no, they said I have epilepsy, but I only had one seizure." Lucky you.
Hmm. Well, I thought I was going down that road, but it wasn't.
I actually have another one. It says people keep calling my epilepsy a fake disease. I need help.
Hmm.
I've been dealing with people who are close, not really close to me, constantly calling my epilepsy a fake disease. Out of my 5 to 6 years of having epilepsy, I would love to know if anyone else has been dealing with this as well. And if so, how do you cope with it? I have very rough time with dealing with daily basis with just waking up in the morning, not knowing what the day is going to bring. And then here come these people calling my illness fake. Nobody else around me has it, so I have nobody to vent to. Please, if you have advice, feel free. Um, It's not a fake disease. It's real than ever. Seizures are real.
Hmm.
It's far from a fake disease. I say you just avoid those people because those people can make you feel like that, and then you'll be depressed about it. I've thought those
Right.
things that somebody didn't take it as serious, and I'd be like, damn, am I taking it too serious or what? Been there. So just got to leave those people behind. Take your
Yeah,
disability more serious than other people because no one else is going to take you serious, especially if you don't.
absolutely. And, so my mom doesn't have an understanding, so she doesn't take it seriously. So I've distanced myself and tried educating her. She still won't understand. So, all right, you know what? I just got to distance myself. But, you know, I just make sure people understand how serious it is. If people are kind of like blowing me off about it or whatnot, I just like, you know what? You're on the back burner because, you know, you wouldn't tell somebody who has muscular dystrophy or something like that, oh, that's fake. Or, people who have other problems or, other issues going on. That's not cool.
Right. That's messed up.
Yeah.
Nobody close to me would let's say anything like that, make any jokes like that, and call it a fake disease. But
Hmm.
I've had people who I just don't feel like take it seriously.
Yeah.
Never heard fake disease, but taking it seriously has been a thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a foundation if it wasn't serious.
Right. Right.
You have a foundation for a fake disease.
Right? A foundation, gravestones that,
Right.
belong to people that have died from it. So that's not fake.
Definitely. True that. All that
Hmm.
stuff is
Right.
real. But yeah, I had a good time, Rick. I gotta get going. Hope you're
Hey, you
seizure
too.
free the next time I see you.
Absolutely.